Welcome to our top 5 gainers and top 5 losers analysis for April 23, 2019, Tuesday. And today I'll be talking about WLCON, FB, PNB, ABA, Web, AGI, PureGold, PHEN, PHA, and PLC. By the way, my name is JC De Guzman, and today you'll hear my technical analysis, my overall sentiment, and some of your logical options on whether you already have these stocks or you're still planning to trade these issues. So that's what you're going to hear in this video. And I'll be talking about some price volume distribution analysis as well. And that's what you're going to hear before I drop my overall sentiment and recommendations. So let's start with WLCON. WLCON closed on Tuesday at 17 pesos per share. That is higher than its VWAP of 16.75. That's what you see right here on the upper left hand corner on my screen. And this ascendant price is also coupled with a relatively huge volume, about 120%, maybe more or less 120% above its 10-day volume average. And this last candlestick was also registered above its shorter term. Actually, all of its moving averages. So it closed above its moving averages. The acting support it's at 14.90, and you can adjust this one if you'd like to at 15.10. So 14.9 to 15.10 is the support range for WLCON. Now, since we no longer have any historical resistance for WLCON, we have to plot the Fibonacci extension. It's an up Fibonacci extension. Particularly, we have to locate the 61.8% up Fibonacci extension. And before recording this video, I've already plotted the Fibonacci. I have to zoom in the chart now so we can drag it to the bottom for us to see where is the 61.8% Fibonacci extension. And it is located near or at 18.20. That's the psychological resistance of WLCON, 18.20. And its historical support range is between 14.9 to 15.10, right there. Okay? And we can also cite this one, by the way, as a midterm support, 15.77 or somewhere around the 15.8. Okay? So that's it. Those are the support and resistance ranges or levels for WLCON. Now, I think it goes without saying that WLCON is already bullish both in the short term and long term scales. That reflects on the position of its MACD above its signal line. MACD is continuously registering a line that's in divergence, meaning to say it continues to increase the gap above the signal line. So that's a sign of bullishness for WLCON. On the other hand, I'd like you to observe this thing. Let me bring back the chart to its normal state, normal view. Look at the RSI's histogram. Each time RSI inches closer to the classical oversold or overbought territory or level, the price dips. It bounces away. See this one here? Then it retreats here. It retreated here. The price descended. And then on January 7, it inched closer to its classical overbought level, RSI. And the next day, it started to slide. See this? And then on February 12, it managed to inch closer to its classical overbought territory, and then it slid the following days. Okay, now it's happening again. The RSI is already at 76%. It's very close to its classical overbought level. So let's consider that when I drop my overall sentiment later. But for now, let's check the price volume distribution for WLCON. So here's the most traded range and most voluminous range for today. It's between 16.84 all the way to 17 pesos per share. Again, 16.84 to 17 pesos per share. So that's closer to the intraday high than the intraday low. So we have a green candlestick. It closed above the VWAP. We have a volume that's above its 10-day volume average. And the most traded and most voluminous range is closer to the intraday high than the intraday low. All four criteria are present. And what do you think is that signal about? What do you think is that about? So it's a signal. It's a confirmation, or it supports my overall sentiment, my bullish overall sentiment on WLCON. Because of the presence of those four criteria, I would say that the ascent in the price of WLCON is more likely to continue. However, I would recommend that you lock in some profits between 17 to 16, 17 to 17.5. Maybe sell one tranche or maybe half of your total holdings on WLCON. Now, just in case WLCON continues to go higher, to go up, maybe higher than 17.5, it's okay if you sold a few tranches of your shares between 17 to 17.5 then, because by doing so, you were able to lock in some profits. Now, if the ascent in price still shows a strong manifestation that it might continue to go higher, then you can use the sold amount, the sold price, to buy back those shares that you sold between 17 to 17.5. Okay, so that's another opportunity for you to take advantage of the capital appreciation on the price of WLCON. Okay, so don't think that by selling half of your shares within a specific range is a loss when the price continued to go higher than what you thought. Okay, so that's part of the risk management. That's part of the risk management, because if we will reverse the scenario, let's say you did not sell some of your shares between 17 to 17.5, and the price drops all the way to 16 or to 15 pesos per share, then in hindsight, you would say, shucks, I should have heeded JC's advice to lock in some profits between 17 to 17.5, right? Hindsight is always perfect. It's always 2020. So part of the risk management is to lock in some profits when there's an insight for a possibility of profit taking within a certain range. Okay, am I sure that the trend will reverse once the price hits 17.5? No, I'm not talking about guarantees. I'm not talking about promises or certainties. Since day one, all I've been talking about here are data-driven probabilities. Okay, estimates, data-driven forecasts, not just instinct-based, not just gut-based assessments. So there you go for my overall sentiment and recommendation for WLCON. Now, for those of you who don't have WLCON but are thinking if you should buy WLCON on Wednesday or not, my recommendation is that you can do a test buy within that range that I cited a while back, within the first 15 minutes of trading tomorrow, provided WLCON starts with a green candlestick, because if it's a weak start for WLCON within the first 5 minutes, first 10 minutes, first 15 minutes of trading tomorrow, then don't rush by placing your buying order within the range that I cited a while back. You have to do a new price volume distribution analysis on WLCON when that's the case, so that you can identify if it's worth it to buy within the range that I cited a while back. And which one is that? This one. 16.84 to 17 pesos. Again, if WLCON will give us a weak start tomorrow within the first 5 minutes of trading, don't rush into the idea of placing a buy order within this range. You have to do a new price volume distribution analysis so that you can estimate if the price of WLCON is more likely, if it's more likely to go lower than 16.8 or not. Okay? And if you don't know how to do your own price volume distribution analysis, even though you have the raw data from your broker, you can always post a request, as always, inside our private clients forum. Okay? So that's it for WLCON. Next, we have FB, San Miguel Food and Beverage. FB closed on Tuesday at 116 pesos per share. The support that I'm seeing is near 104 pesos a piece. And just like how we used Fibonacci extension for the previous stock, that's what we're going to do for FB as well. So we have to identify, I had to zoom this in so we can drag it to the bottom so we can identify the location of the 61.8% Fibonacci extension for FB. So as we can see here, it's pegged near 124.30. That's the 61.8% of the up Fibonacci extension. Okay, and we can also say, that this level here, right here, can also serve as a midterm support for FB before it dives down all the way to 104 pesos per share. So that's 109 pesos per share. Okay, so this is the support range, 104 to 109. Resistance, this is a psychological resistance, not a historical one. Remember, it's a 124.3. Okay, so you can calculate your reward to risk ratio now between the last price all the way to the support right here at 104, and your potential reward is from the last price 116 all the way to 124.30. That's your potential reward. Your potential risk is anywhere between the last price all the way to 109 or maybe up until 104. So you calculate your reward to risk ratio. If you are happy with the reward to risk ratio that you got, then you can do a test buy within, of course, the range that got the biggest volume and the highest number of trades. And that's what I'm going to show you now. The PVD chart of San Miguel Pure Foods, San Miguel Foods and Beverage. So this is the range that got the biggest volume and the highest number of trades. It's between 113.9 to 115. 113.9 to 115 with a, and also there's an isolated single price point here at 116. So we have a range and we have a single price point to watch out for. 113.9 to 115 and 116 per share. Okay, now that range is also still closer. Let me maximize the window. So it's that this one is it closer to the intraday high than the intraday low? Well, relatively speaking, because of this 116 pesos per share, I think it's closer to the intraday high than the intraday low, indeed. Okay, courtesy of the volume and the number of trades registered at 116 per share. Okay, so my overall sentiment on FB is bullish. If you have a position on FB, you have the option to hold your position or to lock in some profits at 117 and all the way to 120, or just continue to hold your position and don't sell until your trailing stop loss is hit. If you don't have a position on FB yet, take a look at the price action within the first 5 minutes on Wednesday. If it's a green candlestick, do a new price volume distribution analysis so you can identify the range that got the biggest volume and the highest number of trades, because that's where you need to position your buying price, your test buy. Okay, so there you go. Just some additional insights. Foreign investors are bullish on FB for 2019 year to date. Okay, next. So we have PNB, banking stock. So PNB closed on Tuesday at 54.95. Support is pegged at 49.30. Resistance is near 56.5. PNB's last price managed to close above its VWAP. VWAP stands for volume weighted average price. So the VWAP for today is 53.63. Closing price is 54.95. So this last price recovered its position above the 10 and the 50-day SMAs. Volume was relatively high as it is almost equal to its 10-day volume average. Actually, we can also treat this level here as a support area, so 50.7. Therefore, we have a support range between 49.3 to 50.70. Okay, that's the support range. Okay, so MACD, although it's already still below the signal line, it has already shown formation of a bullish convergence with the signal line. So the last hook, or the last line, or the tail of MACD has already bent towards the northward direction. So it's a formation of a bullish convergence with the signal line. So meaning to say, if the price continues to go up, therefore the MACD line will continue to inch closer and closer to the signal line, and hopefully it will register a golden cross, meaning to say it will cross above the signal line. When that happens, again, it's a confirmation of the dominance of the bullishness of the price action of this stock. Let's take a look at its price and volume distribution chart. So here, quite an active stock, huh? Okay, so the most traded, I'm seeing two ranges here. So it's the one between 51.2 all the way to 52.3, and there's another one between 54 to 54.95. I think this one right here, in terms of volume, the one between 51.2 to 52.3 got the bigger volume, a bigger volume compared to the volume registered between 54 to 54.95. But in terms of the number of trades, the range between 54 to 54.95 got the highest number of trades. Yes. So what in this case, how does this affect my overall sentiment on PNB? Let's go back to the chart. Because of seemingly tug of war between the position of the most active and the most traded range of PNB, that makes my overall sentiment neutral to bullish on PNB. The neutral side of it will generate an advice for you to consider locking in some profits when the price hits 56.5, somewhere here, 56.5. Okay. Does it mean the price will reverse, will bounce away once it hits 56.5? No, again, it's not a guarantee. It's just a data-driven forecast based on the sentiment that I saw on the price and volume distribution chart of PNB for Tuesday trading. Okay, and anyway, that sentiment is still subject to change. For example, if the price hits 56.5 and on that day I see that it's still more likely for the price to continue to go higher than 56.5, then I would say I might remove the neutral part of my overall sentiment and make it completely bullish instead of neutral to bullish. Okay. Again, I always say that sentiments change when the price action changes. Okay, we don't have to cement or nail our overall sentiment based on past data. We have to reassess, reevaluate, change our overall sentiment, and plan if we must when price action changes, especially when significant changes happen. Okay, so that's my overall sentiment, neutral to bullish. I've given you my recommendation if you have a PNB. If you don't have a PNB, I would suggest that you wait for a pullback uh, between 49.3 to 50.7. Okay, wait for a pullback. Now, if you see some manifestations of a continuous ascent, then you can do a test buy within the range that got the biggest volume and the highest number of trades. And how will you find that? Again, you have to do a new PVD analysis, price volume distribution analysis, like what I did. And if you need my assistance, I'm just a post away inside our private clients forum. Okay, next we have ABA. Okay, ABA closed on Tuesday at 0.62, just 1 centavo higher than its previous resistance at 0.61. It also closed above its VWAP of 0.617. 0.617. Volume is relatively strong as it is above its 10-day volume average. MACD continues to go higher than its signal line. Historical volatility is at 66%, a moderate risk level for this speculative stock. And the ABA is already moving above its 10 SMA but still below the 50-day SMA. So it's bullish in the short term but bearish. Bullish in the short term and long term but bearish in the medium term as far as its position below the 50-day SMA is concerned. Okay, resistance is at 0.76. Support range is between 0.53 to 0.61. Okay, now let's take a look at its price and volume distribution chart. Here. So it looks like it's evenly distributed. But let's see a dominant range. So that's between 0.6 to 0.63. Okay, 0.6 to 0.63. My overall sentiment is bullish on ABA. If the traders still would want to push the price higher than 0.62, it will reflect anyway on the price and volume distribution chart for tomorrow. Okay? As soon as you see a weakening of the price action of ABA, lock in your profits. And if you don't have the stock yet, then don't buy it just yet. Okay? Wait for a pullback. So tomorrow, within the first 5 minutes, temp check. You do a temp check. If there's still a strong demand, if ABA will start with a strong demand within the first, not even 5 minutes, but first minute or first 1 or 2 minutes, do a test buy within the range that got the biggest volume, the highest number of trades. Okay, do a test buy, but only if there's a strong demand in the beginning. Otherwise, don't enter just yet. And for those of you who already have ABA, watch its price action closely tomorrow, especially that it has already broken out above the previous resistance at 0.61. Okay. Besides, mind you, the last price of 0.62 is almost equal to its VWAP of 0.617. If I'm going to round it up, that will be 0.62 as well. Okay, so consider that as well. So I'm somehow okay. My overall sentiment is neutral to bullish. There's that neutral element because of its relationship of its VWAP to its last price. Last price is not that much. Is not really that much. It's not significantly higher than its VWAP, so to say. Okay, so there's a reservation. Okay. Next, web. So web closed on Tuesday at 3 pesos per share. Although it's a green candlestick, it closed below its VWAP of 3.04, but volume is strong. It's above its 10-day volume average. Nonetheless, the four criteria that we are looking for are no longer all present because the last price is below the VWAP. That reduces my conviction to say that the ascendant price is more likely to continue. So it's no longer as strong as if the last price was higher than the VWAP. Okay. Nonetheless, MACD has not shown any sign of weakness. It's still moving above the signal line. It has not bent towards the southward direction yet. Okay, and let's take a look at the price and volume distribution of web. Let's see if we will get a range closer to the intraday high than the intraday low. Range, the most dominant range is between 2.96 to 3.11. It's closer to the intraday low than the intraday high. Doesn't that say something about the closing of web below its VWAP? It's a tie. 2 out of 4 criteria are absent. So there's a tug of war between the bears and the bulls here. So my overall sentiment on web is neither bullish nor bearish. It's neutral. Neutral. So let's find out tomorrow, in the first half of trading tomorrow, on which side will dominate. Will it be the game of the bears or the bulls tomorrow? Let's wait. Let's see. Let's find out. So that affects my overall sentiment. Again, it's neutral. And my recommendations for those who have web is to watch your trailing stop loss. Anything can happen tomorrow. It's either, of course, it's either it will bounce away or it will continue its uptrend. But it's still nobody's game, so to say. Okay, if you have web, let's say you bought it near 2.54, make sure that you stick with your trailing stop loss. Be very strict, particularly on web. If you don't have web yet, do another price and volume distribution and analysis with tomorrow after the first 3 to 5 minutes of trading. Ask for my assistance in our private clients forum if you don't know how to generate a PVD chart. Okay, so that's it for web. Next, AGI. AGI closed on Tuesday at 14.56. It broke down below its previous support rather, at 14.68. and that's now acting. That previous support is now its current resistance. The new support is placed near 13.6. AGI is already moving below its 10 and 50-day SMA. So that's bearish in the short term and medium term. VWAP is at 14.67. So definitely 14.67. AGI closed below the VWAP. Last price is at 14.56. MACD shows no signs of any reversal of whatsoever. It's still busy moving to the Mariana Trench, so to speak. So it's still bearish. Okay. And foreign investors sold about 30 million pesos worth of shares today. For 2019 year to date, foreign investors are, wow, they are still bullish 2019 year to date, but they become bearish since the second week of April. Okay, but overall, since the start of trading in this year and up to today, they are bullish. But considering their sentiment starting the second week of April up to today, they are bearish. Now let's take a look at the price and volume distribution so that I can give you my overall sentiment. Okay, there you go. Most dominant range is between 14.52. Okay, let's include 14.5, the intraday low. 14.5 to 14.7. Obviously, it's closer to the intraday low than the intraday high. Therefore, I am bearish on AGI, and the price is more likely to continue to move to the bottom. So, park your set aside your plan to trade AGI for now. So try to wait to as close as 13.6. Okay, now it's still possible for AGI, by the way, to do a rebound play near 14.5 and regain its position above 14.7. And we have to reassess. If AGI starts tomorrow at a price higher than 14.6, we have to reassess. If volume is high, and if the last price is above the VWAP, and if the most traded and most voluminous range is closer to the intraday high than the intraday low, it could be a sign that this is really a strong support level, and AGI wants to respect the support level. But that's just still in our imagination. Let's see things. Let's see the real things that will happen tomorrow. Okay? So we're just speculating right now. Speculating about the possibilities. Okay? So nonetheless, my overall sentiment again is bearish, and my recommendation at this moment, for now, for the time being, is to wait near 13.6. Okay? Next, we have PureGold. PureGold closed on Tuesday at 44.15. It's already below its previous support at 44.30, and that is now acting as its immediate resistance. Therefore, its new support is near 42.14. If it breaks below 42.14, that will make 40.14 as its next support level. PureGold is bearish both in the short term and long term time periods. It's already below its 200-day SMA. Okay. Volume is also relatively high as it's almost equal to 50% of its 10-day volume average. MACD shows no signs of any remorse in its decision to continue its bearish trend or bearish direction. The same is true for the foreign investors. They sold about 31 million pesos worth of shares today. For 2019 year-to-date, foreign investors are bearish on PureGold. And they've done nothing but to sell shares since April 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. A 6-day streak. 6-day streak of net foreign selling from the foreign investors, of course. Okay, now let's take a look at its price and volume distribution. And the most dominant and the most voluminous and most traded range is between 44.15 to 44.75. 44.15 to 44.75. It's closer to the intraday. This range is closer to the intraday low than the intraday high because of this part right here. Okay, so it's bearish as well. Price and volume distribution confirms or agrees with my overall sentiment of with my bearish overall sentiment on pure gold. Therefore, my recommendation for you is not to hurry in entering a new position on pure gold. Wait for a pullback to as close as 42 pesos per share. Okay, 42 pesos per share, or maybe at 43. Yeah, 42 to 43. If you have pure gold, I do hope, let's say you bought pure gold above 42 pesos, and you should have already sold your position when it went below maybe 47, depending on the size of your percentage of risk tolerance, depending on the position of your trailing stop loss. But by the looks of it, by now, after hitting what? After hitting 50.30, the intraday high, after hitting 50.30 last April 10, and it's already at 44.15, you should have already realized your gains by now. Meaning you should have already sold your position. And I should no longer be talking about those who have pure gold, and I should only be talking to those who are yet to enter a new position on pure gold by now. Okay? Next, we have PHEN. FINMA Energy Corporation closed on Tuesday at 1.45. Support is at 1.38. Okay, today it broke below its previous support at 1.5. And that makes 1.5 as its current resistance. But the major resistance I consider is at 1.64. PHEN is already moving between the 10 SMA and the 50 SMA. Okay. From the long-term perspective, I would say that PHEN is in a sideways direction from the long-term perspective. Okay, but in the short term, it's already bearish for me, especially that this red candlestick closed below its VWAP of 1.46. Besides, it came with the bearishness came with strong volume, so there was really an appetite to sell down PHEN. And besides, MACD still trending to the bottom below the signal line. Okay, now let's take a look at the price and volume distribution of PHEN. So we can see here that the most traded and most voluminous range is between 1.44 to 1.47, 1.44 to 1.47, and that is closer to the intraday high. Sorry, it's closer to the intraday low than the intraday high. So my overall sentiment is bearish on PHEN, and my recommendation is that you wait to as close as 1.38 or even lower than that. Okay, especially if PHEN will register another red candlestick tomorrow. Okay. Don't hurry. Don't buy PHEN just yet. Wait near 1.38. Those of you who have PHEN, you know the drill. TSL, guys, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, next. PHA. Premier Horizon Alliance Corporation closed on Tuesday at 0.98. Support is at 0.9. Resistance is at 1.25. It's been a while since since March, actually, not literally since a while. It's been a while, but since March, PHA has been just trading the range. What range? The support and resistance, 0.9 to 1.25. So it's been doing this boring thing for almost 2 months already, and while there's no serious liquidity issue, I think PHA is still more inclined to continue its sideways movement just by taking a look at its volume and the gap between its closing price and its VWAP. Speaking of which, VWAP today is 0.99, so it closed again just one tick below its VWAP. Okay, so foreign investors, by the way, are bearish on PHA for 2019 year to date, and they sold about just an insignificant amount, $500,000 worth of shares today. Okay, now let's take a look at its price and volume distribution. So the most dominant range is between 0.97 all the way to 1.02. Again, that's closer to the intraday low than the intraday high. And that will, of course, influence my overall sentiment into a bearish one. But, instead of a bearish one, considering the fact that MACD is still moving above the signal line, yeah, I'm going to give a PHA a neutral or a sideways overall sentiment. For me, it's more likely to continue sideways movement. Bounce at 0.9, then bounce away once it hits 1.25, goes down to 0.90, bounces away from 0.90, inches closer to 1.25, then bounces away from 1.25, yada yada. Okay? So I think that's what's going to happen. Unless, of course, we see a change on the sentiment of traders, or if a bullish local, maybe a bullish or a bearish domestic or international catalyst would happen or would appear, and that would change the direction of PHA from sideways to bearish, or maybe sideways to bullish. Okay, so but for now, based on the data that we have, my overall sentiment is sideways on PHA, and my recommendation is to stay away from this stock for now. It's not trending, it's not registering a trend. On the long-term scale, it's bearish, as you can see from here. If we are going to draw a channel here, it's bearish for sure. Obviously, it's a descending triangle. Now for PLC, closed on Tuesday at 0.74. It's at the brink of, it's holding its dear life on its support at 0.74. If it breaks below 0.74, it will make 0.63 as its support level. Right now, resistance is at 0.87 still. Okay. Today's descent in price, which is below its VWAP of 0.75, was registered with a huge volume, about 250% above its 10-day volume average. And MACD increases the gap below the signal line, between itself and the signal line. That's a bearish signal again. And in the short to medium term, PLC is also still bearish as well. It's moving below all of its 3 simple moving averages. Now, let's take a look at its price and volume distribution. So the most traded and most voluminous range is between 0.73 to 0.79. That's a lot closer to the intraday low than the intraday high because of these 3 price points here, 0.73 to 0.75. So actually, even without taking a look at the PVD chart, I'm already bearish on PLC just by looking at its channel, downtrend channel here. Especially this strong volume that came with this tall red candlestick. Okay, so my overall sentiment is bearish, and my recommendation is that you wait for a pullback closer to 0.63, maybe even lower. Okay, if the dust doesn't settle down at 0.63, then we might see PLC below 0.60. Okay, so there you go. Don't hurry in trading PLC just yet. So you've heard my technical analysis for these 10 stocks today, and this is your top 5 gainers and top 5 losers analysis for April 23, 2019. My name is JC De Guzman. I'll see your questions inside our private clients forum if you have any. May you have an independent and profitable trading day ahead. Thank you. Bye for now.